Hey, what's going on, guys? So pretty fresh off the heels of Plum's first 5-inch mecha Power Dolls 2 model kit, we've got another variant out here now which has a little bit different equipment to it and looks very cool. If you guys missed the first video, check that out, but this is a part of the new 5-inch mecha series here, which is basically like HG versions of the Power Dolls here from Plum. Really cool. If you guys are a fan of the design, these are great because they're smaller, cheaper, a little bit simpler in design compared to like their larger 1/35 scale version, but these are in 1/48 scale. This one, I'm not aware of any particular like special name for this other than just the X-4RR PDFR-R807. for it. Anyway, this is a new version with some new equipment here of the power loader. Let's check it out for today's video. All right, and so just like with the previous release, the artwork here on the front of the box actually features 2 of the power loader, although in this case it's not quite as confusing. I think I mentioned in that video that it may be a bit confusing and maybe leading some people to believe that there's actually 2 in the box. This one I think definitely doesn't look that way, as the background one is definitely more kind of very shadowed there in the background, but you have a nice illustration here. Let me just give you guys a nice close-up look at that. Kind of very interesting, the style of the illustration here for this one, but on the box we've got our logos there for Plum, Power Dolls, and the 5-inch mechanism logos. At the bottom, our titling there. At the ends of the box, we've got just kind of the same thing right there. And on the one side, some more detailed images of some of the new equipment, the handheld equipment, also some new shoulder equipment in this one as well. We have the option to have these hard points here at the back, which we don't have a wing unit for yet, but I imagine that flight unit is going to be coming out. And then kind of an x-ray look at how the articulation is in the legs, which again, yeah, is definitely much better than the 1/35 scale version. On the other side of the box, here's some text in Japanese and a look at the design front and back right there. The list price over here of 4,500 yen. And let's go ahead and open the box, see what we've got in here. So we'll check out the runners, which are going to be mostly the same as the original kit, the previously released kit, I should say. Obviously, we'll have some new runners for the new parts, but let's first just take a quick look at the instruction manual. Don't think there's going to be too much to see really here. We do have actually quite a bit of information, I guess, here on the inside. There's our color guide, which is going to be pretty straightforward. It's like off-white, gray, and blue. There's a little bit of red and a little bit of gold, I guess, bits in and around there, but there's a color guide. We have some more text, like data information over here, and some pretty cool like line art illustration there as well. Some more images over here just showing the kind of action pose about Power Dolls 2, and again, just like some of the gimmicks of the kit is featured there. So that's pretty much it that we have here in the manual. We do also, of course, have a parts list and then all of our construction, which is pretty simple, pretty straightforward construction. It's very much like a HG model kit if you normally build a lot of Gunpla. We do have some included water slide decals here as well, which is just like a couple of little like color apps basically there. I think this is going to be actually quite useful in case you wanted to use this logo here at the bottom, the titling for the kit. If you wanted to use that on like a display base or something, actually would be pretty cool, but a little bit underwhelming as far as like water slide decal sheets go, but it's cool to have those included at least. But all right, getting into the runners here is runner A is going to be the first bit of some of our armor pieces here in that light gray off-white color. That's continued on here to runner B, some of our larger armor pieces as you can see on there. Runner C is going to be off to some of our gray parts for some of the kind of internal joint parts. We also have some weapons parts on here, some hand parts. But then runner D, which we have 2 of, is back to some more white pieces there for around on the kit, or off-white I should say. Runner E is going to be some more joint parts here in gray. And then runner G is our just one single piece in there for the kind of eye visor in this nice fluorescent green color. Runner H is a few more parts here in gray. Runner I we have 2 of for some new weapons parts here in that off-white color. Runner J is some of our small blue accent parts for around. I think this is mostly on the new shoulder equipment. And same thing here for runner K, which is a few parts in this kind of light mustardy. It's supposed to be kind of a goldish color, although it's not really necessarily like a molded gold. I don't think it's not metallic, but it's just sort of like a gold color. Lastly, runner L is going to be some parts in a light gray, different from the armor light gray, and it's definitely lighter than like the inner frame color, so it's kind of an in-between gray color there. But that's it for all the runners. Let's go ahead and check out the kit. All right, and here's the X-4RR PLD all built up. Obviously, the body is going to be the same as the first kit in the line that we've seen before, and the first in the 5-inch mecha line. Just has different shoulders now, and then the different shoulders, and then of course the different weapons we'll see in just a second. But just focus on the main body here, just to start us off for the review. Again, really cool design here for this. I love the new shoulder parts, really quite detailed there up on those shoulder sections with some really nice color separation there for those new parts. And again, just some very nice nice, basic, simple construction for this one. As I think I mentioned in the review of the first kit, sort of very reminiscent of like an entry grade version of the power loader here for this kit, so it's definitely quite interesting. Let's go ahead and check out those new accessories. But we don't really have much in the way of accessories. As you saw in the unboxing, we have the included water slide decals, which certainly are nice, and then we have our two multi-sensors, which are asymmetrical, but they're actually symmetrical in just that this handle right here can be attached onto either the left or the right side, so whichever you put that on is going to make the size. So you could make them symmetrical if you wanted to give these to two different units, or just making them asymmetrical like that. It's just a matter of putting the handle in opposite sides. Now, I'm still not entirely clear on what exactly the multi-sensor units here are, not having played the game and just not having really too much background knowledge, but the design is certainly very interesting, very cool here. You're going to have some nice detail and color separation. You will also have some seam lines on here, of course, going down the top and bottom of those white parts there, unfortunately. But yeah, some really nice detail all around for these new parts. And then on our new shoulder parts here, also some really nice detail here with the blue, light gray, and then darker gray parts of the shoulder armor. And these parts, fortunately, not really having any seam lines, as just the way that these parts are designed, you aren't going to have any seams on those parts of the new shoulder equipment, which is also nice. And that actually goes for most of the rest of the kit too. If you guys have not seen my review of the first one out in this line, we don't have any seam lines here in the arms, the upper body, or head. The only seams that you really have to worry too much about are here on the lower leg. This middle part of the lower leg there is two pieces that will give you a seam line down the front and the back of there. But otherwise, the new shoulder equipment doesn't really necessarily do anything. It's just there, and you can remove that. You have some leftover parts from the original shoulder, but not all the parts, as far as I can tell, not all the parts to make the full original shoulder armor if you wanted to. But then again, not really sure why you might want to if you're getting this particular version. But let's talk a little bit about the articulation here. The head will not really go up very far. You can point that slightly down and up a little bit, and there you can see that green part in there for the eyes does look really nice where you can see it. The shoulder is just attached via a ball joint, so that will swing a little bit forward and back there, a little bit up and down. You can bring the whole shoulder equipment up and then bring the arm up to about 90 degrees like that to the body. Pretty good. We have our rotation not at the bicep, but actually at the elbow there. Both at the top and the bottom of the elbow, you would be able to rotate the arm here as well. And then that elbow joint is going to give you a pretty full bend there, which is pretty nice. And this piece of armor here at the back side of the hand also moves, and the hand is also just on a simple ball joint here. Unfortunately, we only have these holding hands, no other different hand option parts included with these. In the midsection there, then we have rotation and a little bit of movement, as it's basically just on a ball joint, so you can very slightly move that around. Oh, there is another seam line here I almost forgot about. On the underside of the front of the chest, the torso there, the top part is a single piece, the bottom part is two pieces, and you'll have a seam line right down the middle there. Obviously, there's not really any skirt armor on the top of the side of the hip section. Those are kind of like skirts, and they will kind of get in the way a little bit when you're moving the leg up. You are going to be kind of reaching a limit there where you may not have expected. Oh, also another seam line, I guess, if you want to count this. I'm not sure if you would or not, but there's a seam right here on the inside of the thigh, if you want to count that as a seam line as well. But yeah, you are going to be a little bit limited as to how high you can bring the leg up there. If you kind of angle that out a little bit, I guess you could bring it up a little bit higher, but then it's not like straight up. The knee here is a double joint. You are going to have a pretty nice bend there. One of the things about the original larger scale version of this kit is that the knee, it's very difficult to get any bend out of the knee at all, just because of the hosing parts, which this kit just completely omits the hosing parts here at the knee. And there's also meant to be some up in the head as well, which are omitted from this smaller scale version of the kit. But going down here to the ankle, you have a nice bend side to side there at the ankle, also front and back. Really nice range of movement there. This little bit of armor here at the top is attached via a small ball joint, and the toe is also able to move up and down a little bit there as well. Up underneath the feet, you do have a hollow gap there underneath the toe and some detail around on the backside. Only other thing to note then is that you do have these removable pieces here at the back for the inevitable flight units that are going to be coming out for this, I would say, is what those are going to be used for. Also, this is another sort of interesting accessory. We have included this small little part separator, and this is actually shown in the manual to be used for actually separating the parts. Like here for the sensor unit, you can pop that in there. I guess that's for if you're then taking the kit apart later to paint it or something, you can use this included little part separator. You can also use this when you're taking the kit apart to pop out those pieces, just because there's not really any good way to get a grip on them to get those out. If you take the kit apart, you can push them out from the inside using this included little tiny little part separator there. So let's go ahead then and take a look at a few different poses here with this kit. Really, the only thing different about this from the original 5-inch mecha version of the power loader here is just going to be the new sensor units and the new shoulder equipment. And for those parts, I have to say both of those new sections of the build are really nicely detailed and color separated, so the new parts definitely very nice additions to this kit. Although I still think it would be a good idea for a future release in this line maybe to release a 2 set. I think there would certainly be a market for people who may want to get 2 of them in the box. I don't know, but again, unfortunately I don't know that much about the source material to know maybe it just doesn't really make sense to have 2 in a box. This one, just reading a very brief explanation for this kit, apparently this is an enemy unit, so it's just something I didn't really know, and I certainly wouldn't have been able to glean just from the kit itself that it's an enemy unit. But if you guys know more about the game, certainly fill me in the comments section. Just some more background knowledge I'm sure would probably be interesting to know. But as far as the kit goes, like I said, it's pretty simple construction, but nice construction in there. You have a couple of little seam lines here and there. Not really too much. The articulation overall is pretty nice. You do have a hard point there up underneath the waist section for plugging this onto an action base. I didn't point that out to you guys, but obviously, as you can see, it's mounted up on an action base without any issue, so you can certainly get some nice aerial poses out of this. Obviously, it doesn't include a base, but you could just put this on either any Bandai or Kotobukiya action base for some aerial posing of this. But yeah, like I said, really kind of reminds me a lot of sort of an entry grade version of the power loader here, which is certainly very unique. It has nice articulation and makes pretty good use of a very small number of parts, but you get kind of the maximum outcome, which is definitely what's nice about Bandai's entry grade line. So that's going to pretty much do it for this review, guys. Anxious to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, thanks so much for commenting, leaving a like, and subscribing. I really appreciate all your guys' support. If you guys want to check out some more mecha models, paints, tools, and supplies, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store right down there in the video description below the video. Check that out. And thank you guys again so much for all of your support. Till next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.